Grand Ross with The Rock never stops. Today we're going to be talking about these Detroit Pistons. They've had a couple of games against the Phoenix Suns where they took a L, big L. Um, then they beat the Golden State Warriors, really close game. But there are some stylistic things that took place in that game that I want to talk about in this live. But then we also have the Brooklyn Nets tonight. That should be a game that we take full advantage of to get them up out of there. So there's a lot of things we got to talk about. Ivy's progression or lack thereof. Dennis Jenkins closing out games for us. Jalen Duren becoming more consistent as a secondary scoring option, imposing his will more and more. Isaiah Stewart, there's just so many things that are taking place in terms of the development of this roster, of this team, that we need to talk about. Because as Pistons fans, we have these hopes and aspirations, but how we get there, these steps, the stages that we have to get to, that we have to ascend to be really the title contenders that we are now positioned as being, um, something that doesn't happen by accident. It isn't something that just happens coincidentally. And so we're going to talk about that in today's show. But before I do, as always, if you could do me the favor and smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be in front of y'all and talk this Detroit Pistons basketball. Yeah, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And if you haven't already, 2026, consider becoming a member. Hit that join button. I appreciate that as well. Look, let me start off with saying the Detroit Pistons are in a very interesting place. Sometimes you're not always ready for your moment. You're not always ready for when you will be thrust into that championship contention window. And when you are, you must take full advantage. You must take absolute full advantage of the moment because it's not guaranteed to always be there. You look at the Cleveland Cavaliers last year, number one seeded team in the NBA, right? And then you look at them this year. There's a fall off. There's a drop off. They just had a trade, traded away DeAndre Hunter for Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis. I think that's a wonderful trade for them. Wonderful trade for them. Getting that secondary ball handler, especially with Darius Garland and his, injury woes. And then you get Keon Ellis, who's a really good high-level two-way guard who I think can play off of Schroeder and play off of Donovan Mitchell as kind of that 3-and-D off guard. I think, especially with Max Strus injury woes and him in and out of lineups, it gives them depth in the backcourt that they have needed for a long time. And so, great job for Cleveland, but they're still clawing their way back into being in the playoffs, and not just in the playoffs, but like really accomplishing what they set out to do. They have a superstar in Donovan Mitchell. You're expected to make a run at a championship. And that does not always transpire. D-Rock 702 is good to see you in the chat. It's good to see you in the chat, brother. Seth, yo, what's good? What's good? Let me see. He says, do you think we should make a trade? I know we were supposed to be a developmental year. This was not supposed to be a developmental year, but unexpected things happen, like being number one in the East. This was not a developmental year. I've been saying for a while, last year was the last developmental year. This year, we were supposed to be able to see if Jaden Ivey could work alongside Cade Cunningham as that number two option. That has not taken place. This is the year that was supposed to be the stepping stone to contention next season. Instead, we've been thrust in that position right now. And so as a result, Jaden Ivey is in sink or swim mode. And when I say sink or swim, I mean that he has to put up or shut up. It's a show me space at this point. It's no longer about your potential, what you could do, maybe do. You either got to put up or shut up. I've said this over and over and over when it comes to Jaden Ivey. He should have waited until he was ready to start before returning. If he came back in February, speaking of which, happy Black History Month to everyone out there. Don't forget to watch your shows, your movies, teach your kids history, all these different things. It's important. It's important. Acknowledging Black history in Black History Month in the United States It's the same thing that gives us the leeway and the understanding that it's important that every ethnic community group teach their children about their history. It is imperative. If you do not know where you have come from, you do not know where you are going, or truly understand the context of what you're experiencing today. So, happy Black History Month to everyone out there. Hope you are doing your due diligence, consistently teaching your children, your family, celebrating, doing all the things out there so that you can make the most of this time of reflection. Let me just say this: Jaden Ivey should have come back when he was ready to start. And I say that wholeheartedly. He should have waited until he was ready to start before coming back. If he had, if he had come out there, spent the whole month of November, December, getting his explosiveness back, confidence in his body and his game, shooting lights out, and he goes into practice and he's busting everybody's ass. And JB says, we're gonna have to put him out there, see what he could do. He's shown us in practice, yeah. Instead, he came back unsure of his body, kind of figuring out his game. I think he thought he was going to be able to figure out faster than he would not playing. That was a gamble. If I was his agent, I would have told him not to do that. It's not worth it. It would have been better for him to sit out the entire season. And the last thing we remember about him is what he did in the first half of last season. Than to have had the last 2 months, 2.5 months of this lackluster performance. All this to say is Jaden Ivey is still in this limbo situation. And I think it works out for the Detroit Pistons as an organization from a financial standpoint because I'm going to get on Miles Bridges in a second, Seth. I think that's a hard pass for me. It's a hard pass. Um, but it's to say that, what was I saying? Oh, it works out for the Detroit Pistons financially because Jaden Ivey's going to do one or two things. He's either going to get signed for a low deal for a long period of time, probably like 10 million over 3 years. Maybe that third year is a team option or player option, or he's going to sign for even less on a 2 year deal. That's a 1-and-1. Play next season, have a chance to play himself into a bigger deal the following year, and opting out of that second year. Right? One of those two things are going to happen. Either way, financially, great for the Detroit Pistons, and they still retain the ability to extend Ivy if he should show he has the superstar potential that we think he used to have and still potentially does have. He's still really young. So I think he still has a lot of potential. All this to say is Jaden Ivey has put himself into a very precarious position. He's backed himself into a corner. He's up against the wall, especially when you look at other guys who are playing so well. Dennis Jenkins, God, he just continues to hoop. He just continues to hoop, yo. There's no other way to put it. Dennis Jenkins continues to get buckets. And the more time that goes on, the more comfortable he looks out there, the more in his bag and rhythm. Look, we know he's not necessarily an elite shot creator. He's not Marcus Sasser, where he can get separation at will and get off a quality shot. But he is somebody who can get to the cup. He is someone who can knock down threes. He is someone who can be relied upon to facilitate and set up our offense. Probably the best player on our team to do it, next to Asar and Cade. Dennis Jenkins is also our second best on ball point of attack defender. Right now, if you ask me who is deserving that money in this offseason, it's Dennis Jenkins. And it's not to say that the other guys are not deserving. It's to recognize the business of this. It's to recognize the business. Salary cap, I say it all the time, is not a fair legislative institution when it comes to professional sports. It goes directly against the idea of a free market system and meritocracy, everything that our society in the United States and our economic system is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be able to maximize the value of your hard work and your talents and not have people put blockages in the way of that. The NBA does the exact opposite. The NFL does the exact opposite. They don't do it in Major League Baseball. So it's not everywhere, right? You're not told how much you're worth. You prove it. When you look at this team, the people we have to re-sign this offseason, Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Javante Green, Dennis Jenkins, Tolu Smith. These are the guys that we have to re-sign. Do we have the cap to do it? Yeah. Duren is going to get his $30 million. He's having a great year. And Duren is 22 years old, bro. Duren is 22 years old. Putting up these numbers, having these types of games. You can only imagine where he is going to continue to grow from here. He's worth that investment. He's shown it. Jaden Ivey's only 23. I think he'll be brought back for next season. I don't think he's going to be traded away because his trade value is not that high. You're not going to get value back in return for his talent. You're going to get value back in return for his productivity this season. And that will be a bad investment. And so when you think about these Detroit Pistons, what they're doing this offseason, they'll likely bring him back, but it'll be for a cheap deal. Where we move throughout this trade deadline period, this is what some of y'all are asking, and I appreciate the question. Somebody brought up Miles Bridges. I would say no. Is Miles Bridges a dog? Yes, he is. Is he talented? Yes, he is. Is he athletic? Yes, he is. I've also seen Miles Bridges in high leverage situations. Seen him in the play-in tournament. He shrinks. He becomes far less effective. You know who he reminds me of? I said it before. Richard Jefferson. Richard Jefferson could knock down threes, get out in transition, catching a lot of lobs. Good positional size, 6'7". And he looks great during the regular season. But in the playoffs, when you start being able to take certain things away from teams, Richard Jefferson gets exposed. If Jason Kidd is not setting him up off of some off-ball action, hitting him for a lob, backdoor cut, getting out in transition, if he does not have someone else to create for him, he is highly ineffective. Miles Bridges is the same way. Same way. He would be highly contingent upon Cade Cunningham setting him up. And he lacks that individual one-on-one game that translates to elite level defensive pressure in the playoffs where they allow more physicality. You see his handle gets exposed a little bit more. You see his lack of a mid-range gets exposed more. You see his decision-making get exposed more. You see his lack of defensive awareness and attention and even understanding get exposed more. He would not be a plus defender. And I don't know if I want to give him minutes instead of Ron Holland. Allow him to continue to develop. So I would say no to Miles Bridges. I would say no to Miles Bridges. And this was kind of brings me to this trade deadline. The reality is Jaden Ivey has not been able to take minutes away from Duncan Robinson. And Cade Cunningham is who Cade Cunningham is. He needs a ball handler. He needs ball handlers, facilitators, high IQ players around him. I brought up names like Kyle Anderson, Quentin Grimes. These are individuals who know where to be and what to do on the court that allow Cade Cunningham to maximize what he is able to do on that court, which is a lot. He carries a hell of a load. But the more Cade can become comfortable and confident in deferring to his teammates, I think the better for him and the team. What it does is it positions him to be able to use up less energy, bringing up the ball, trying to set up his teammates and facilitate. And it also prevents him from getting bogged down at half court and turning the ball over. We know who Cade Cunningham is at this point. He has a bit of the Stephen Curry turnover yips. He's going to turn the ball over at times in really bad moments, in really rough circumstances where you're like, bro, how? How? And that's just the reality of his game. So we need guys like Asara Thompson to grow into his role. 23 years old, 2 more years under contract. He'll be available for an extension this year, which, if the Detroit Pistons are wise, they extend him this year because he's having a really good year defensively, still struggling offensively. And I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. I think Asara Thompson is going to have somewhat of a, not Sean Marion, but it's going to be somewhere between Sean Marion and Andre Iguodala type of trajectory, which is great. It's amazing. But if he gets another season to put it all together, you're looking at a $30+ million player. If you extend him this offseason, you can get him for under 30. Bravo. Because the reality is the way he's playing, he just got 6 steals against the Golden State Warriors. Six. You watch some of the steals that Asara Thompson gets. And I'm going to be real with you. He's not locked in for an entire game. He's barely playing 20 minutes a game. Asara is not the most reliable, consistent offensive or defensive player. He gets lost at times on defense. I know it's the dog days. It's the hump portion of the season. Guys struggle to, stay locked in. Speaking of locked in, hey, hang on. We got 25 people in the chat and only 4 likes. Yo, come on, yo. Help me out. Remember, it's a small thing for you, but a big thing for the channel. Smash that like button, right? Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Definitely consider becoming a member by hitting join in 2026. Becoming a member for the channel definitely helps out. Let me say this, y'all. Let me say this. Asara Thompson is nowhere near what he's going to be as he matures. When he matures and he begins to really lock in on who he is and understand how he can contribute to winning consistently every night and the impact that it can have in this league, on this team, on our winning, getting to a championship, it is going to propel him to extreme heights. But professionalism is not something that comes overnight. Very few people come in like a LeBron James at 19 years old and they're just a pro, a pro's pro, a mature, grown pro at 19 years old. It takes years. Asar is 23 years old. By the time he's 26 years old, hopefully, if he continues on this trajectory and he's getting 28 to 32, 34 minutes a game, he's going to be an all-star. He's going to be a 16 to 18 points per game. He's going to be Scottie Pippen. He's going to be an all-NBA defender, first team all-NBA. And he's going to be first team all-NBA defense this year. If the Detroit Pistons are smart, they extend him this offseason before he gets another year to put it all together. Because if he does what Amen Thompson did, and he spends a summer playing one-on-one basketball against Javonte Green, says, hey, we're going to work on our game together, we're going to train together, and then we're going to play ones off 2 dribbles. That's how you really play it, off 2 dribbles, 3 maximum. You don't play as ones where you get 15 dribbles. Like, what the fuck? That's not basketball, bro. You got help defenders, bro. Playing one on one, nah. I tell somebody they were like, "You trying to play ones?" Like, bro, man, back in the day, man, we used to play one on one, one dribble, two dribbles maximum. Anything more than that, you can. I got a help defender by then. We stripping the ball. You know what I mean? All this to say, don't let Asar Thompson spend summer with Javante Green playing ones, working on his game, his handle, getting used to the physicality of creating your own shot, getting used to his body control, gathering into a shot, getting that fluidity, getting that bounce in his step, that getting into his rhythm quickly, recognizing different angles and how he's going to finish. Don't let him get that part of his game together. You combine that with his elite level defensive ability, rebounding, playmaking, facilitating. Oh my God. The gap in what you're going to have to pay him the summer of 2027 versus 2026 might be 10 to 15 million a year. Just saying. Yeah, Sar's spin move is crazy, Ray. You already know. Kingmaker, Sar can see the rim clearly. I think there's a depth perception issue there with his contact lens. You know, I wouldn't be, you know what I'm noticing? That's a good point, Kingmaker. I've noticed that when I see Asar Thompson's eyes, they're all over the place. If you watch his eyes, he's like looking here, there, up. He's looking all. He's seeing it all, which is a good thing. But he's forgetting that the basket is the most important thing. And if you watch Andre Iguodala play, it's similar. He's seeing all of his teammates. He's looking for guys to set up, guys who might be cutting, posting up, coming off of a screen. He's watching the play develop. He's seeing everything. And then last, he then sees the rim. It's a tertiary. It's not even secondary, let alone primary mental option. He's not looking for it. Asar is the same way. And then when he does look for the basket, you can you could just tell. You could just tell, he just gets hyper focused. And he's super like, okay, I'm gonna do the move. I'm gonna do the thing. And it's like, bro, just feel the flow. Feel the flow. What's there? Recognize when it opens up, when it's closed. Recognize when it's that moment. Are you in a rhythm? Do you feel confident in the move? Like it's something that it's just gonna take time for him. So he's gonna end up being a 16 to 18 point, 8 rebound, 4 to 6 assists, uh, 2.3 steal type of, with a block and a half. Like he's going to be a monster. All that's to say is we might be extending him too this offseason. When I think about the Detroit Pistons, and I think about where we're understanding our team is at, I think we're in great position now that we are stabilizing our rotation. Jaden Ivey, man, he's playing, and I keep coming back to Ivey because of this. He's playing with borrowed time at this point. There's only so much longer that JB Bickerstaff can justify bringing him off the bench before Dennis Jenkins or Javante Green. Right? Javante Green has improved his three-point shooting. He's now shooting close to 36% from the three-point line. 35.7. And over the last month, it might be even higher. Dennis Jenkins. Let me pull him up. Second. Need my computer to move a little bit faster here. Dennis Jenkins is shooting 38%, 38.6% from the three-point line. Dennis Jenkins is only a year older than Ivy at 24 years old. He's not a 30-something-year-old vet like Javante Green. He facilitates better than Ivy. He defends far better than Ivy. Dennis Jenkins, I keep telling y'all, he's probably one of our best defenders. Behind Asar, behind Isaiah Stewart. and Javante Green, I might put Dennis Jenkins right there. I think he's better than Ron Holland because Ron Holland gets caught for bad fouls all the time and puts us in a tough situation, putting the other team on the free throw line. Um, Dennis Jenkins is probably one of our top 5 best defenders on the team. So you got a 6'4" lead guard, amazing at the point of attack, great defender, can facilitate at a high level, gets assists, low turnovers, ball security, high IQ, meaning like he's able to run the show, see what's going on, see what's supposed to be happening, finds the flow extremely well. Probably our best offensive initiator. I would say even more than Cade because he's more reliable. And not in terms of productivity and capability, but more so like his floor, his consistency in terms of what we don't have to worry about with him. You don't have to worry about him getting trapped at half court, right? We don't have to worry about him getting tired. Like, because here's the thing with Cade, when he brings up, and we've said this before many times, this is nothing new. When Cade Cunningham is bringing the ball up the floor, initiating offense, it wears him out, it tires him out. And this is where Asar Thompson has to be mature enough to say, like, yo, that's my job. Cade, we're taking it out from under the rim. I got it. Give me the ball. You go down. And when Cade asked for it, like he did against the Golden State Warriors in that fourth quarter down the stretch, he asked for the ball, but he's standing at half court. Somebody needs to tell Cade, no, go down, go to the block, go to the baseline, go to the elbow, and catch the ball closer to the rim. I'll get you the pass. I'll do a ball fake, wrap around, entry pass. I'll find you. We'll set a screen. Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, Asar Thompson. Somebody will set you a screen, and we'll get you to rock right where you need it. Right? That is what guys need to become comfortable in telling Cade Cunningham where to go get that ball. Tonight against the Brooklyn Nets, what I am anticipating, what I am hoping for, if I'm honest, what I'm hoping for is that we just get more consistency. Straight up. I want consistency. I want, especially with our bench, Dennis, Ivy, Ron, Stu, Javante. Lately, Tobias Harris has been getting some more minutes, playing with the bench unit, providing some more shooting, some more stability, definitely some more defensive rebounding. Something that Ron Holland has got to really, he's got to really lock in. We need you to rebound, bro. We need you to get on the boards. You can't just stand back and watch somebody else do it. That's not what this is, man. All that's to say is let's get some consistency. The Brooklyn Nets are a team that we should handle readily, easily. And what that means is we have the talent, we have the tools, but we also understand that on any given day, any given Sunday, the team can give you a run for their money. They can give you a run for your money, as the Phoenix Suns did, without Devin Booker, without Jalen Green. Beat us handedly. You know, when you think about styles, you know, this thing in boxing, we talk about styles make fights and contrasting styles. The Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns both exemplify a style that we have not figured out. Let me be frank. We are not a good perimeter defensive team. We do not defend the 3-point line well. We don't. We don't communicate. We don't often see our man and the ball. So guys are relocating. When we help, we don't necessarily know who we're helping off of. Guys like Ron Holland forgets, like, oh, why am I helping Cade defend, what's his name? What's his name? Cam Spencer for the Golden State Warriors, right? Spencer had him beat a little bit. He helps off of Buddy Hield. who's like a 50% three-point shooter, has over 2,000 made threes and throughout his career. For all intents and purposes, the guy that you don't want to leave. And he leaves to help Cade with Cam Spencer. Cade just rejected Stephen Curry at the rim. What do you think he's gonna do to Cam Spencer if he tries to lay it up? Even if he has him beat a little bit. You don't think Cade can cover that? And what's better, 3 or 2? Right? And so you leave the elite three-point shooter to help against the non-elite interior finishing Cam Spencer against a bigger defender. And you don't even recover well. Give up a wide open three to Buddy Hield, swishes it, and gets going, and helps the Golden State Warriors claw back into striking distance to try to win the game. And they got it to within 3. Had that shot by Buddy Hield not gone in and out, it would have been a tied game with about 3 minutes to go. See, Kingmaker asks, how often do NBA teams do basic drills, closeout drills, etc.? Our closeouts are ridiculous. They are. They contribute to the weak perimeter defense. You are 100% correct, bro. You're 100% correct. The thing is, because of the pace of an 82 game season, we often do not have the time. Like, think about it. Yeah, 82 games, flights, family, children. You're going to spend 20 minutes of a practice focused on closeouts. Or you're going to talk about schemes, plays to continue to score and maximize opportunity for your guys. Right? This isn't the Miami Heat. Right? Where you might spend a whole training camp on box outs. You know what I mean? Like, just diving on loose balls and taking charges. You know what I mean? Like that's the stuff you do in training camp. And they probably have. But also keep in mind that because of the pace of the season, guys get tired, bro. Guys get tired. Guys are not always going to have the energy to do those little things. It's something that really veterans understand. There's a certain level of professionalism, and also you're playing for contracts. So, doing the little things is really why they keep you around, because the young guys forget. Tobias Harris, Javonte Green, Paul Reed, these guys are locked into doing the little things that win games. The younger guys, not as much. Cade gets lost often. Duran, too. Sar, of course. Ron Holland, naturally. Jay Nivey, always. Right? Like, these guys, they're young. I think at this point in the season, anybody that we bring in has to have the veteran savvy, has to have the understanding of playing at a high level of winning basketball. Nobody we have to develop. And anybody we bring in has to play defense, tough, physical, and has some ball facilitating glue type skills. Right? Like, you got to be able to play the game without the ball in your hands or making others better and then doing the little things. You got to be something like a Javonte Green, bigger. You know what I mean? Paul Reed, wing. That's who you got to be. That's why I say Quentin Grimes and Kyle Anderson, those guys. They come in, they're increasing the team's basketball IQ, winning habits, professionalism, maturity, focus. They're adding to the team. Miles Bridges would be taking away the basketball IQ, winning habits, defensive ability. No, Seth, Michael Porter Jr. is not a solid defender. He is a subpar defender on the regular. And at his best, his highest of effort, Michael Porter Jr. gets to an average okay defender who's also well insulated and protected within that defensive scheme. Guys know to help Michael Porter Jr. constantly. They know they're going to shade towards his man and just have to get back out to their man. Devro87, yo, it's good to see you in the chat. My man, Pistons are at their best when they do close out well to the 3 ball. I feel like they lack focus some nights, like against the Suns, and give up winnable games. That's very true. But like I've said before, the Detroit Pistons are also like in the middle of an 82-game season. We're at game 47. I don't expect us to check back in until after the All-Star break. At this point, these are the games where guys who have something to prove have an opportunity to prove themselves because the other guys who carry a lot of the load are tired. So this is where guys have opportunity to step up. Jaden Ivey, Dennis Jenkins, um, Jalen Duren trying to get that first All Star nod. It looks like he's going to get it. Uh, guys like Paul Reed when he gets in. These guys proving something. But I think the season is also going to continue to get better for us. So I'm not looking at this team now and saying this is where they're going to be at the end of the season. I'm looking at this team now and saying they're going to be so much better games 60, 65 to 82 going to the playoffs. They're going to get that extra oomph of let's get going. And they're going to. It's going to be really good basketball for the Detroit Pistons on the back end of this season. They're just in the dog days. They've done a great job at the beginning, sustaining as long as possible. Now the bench unit has got to elongate this winning, which they've been able to do, extending leads, maintaining leads, mounting comebacks, etc. Guys stepping up like Dennis and Paul and Javante. Now we just need to get to this All-Star break where guys can get a breather, a rest, get some time. Sit at home. Sarah Thompson, go rest. Jaden Ivey, go rest. Isaiah Stewart, go rest. Dennis Jenkins, rest and reflect and take in how well you've done. Have the coaches talk with you about, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and see if we get that floater game going. Maybe a little in between, so when you have to create and you do a little step back, get that little step back game. You know what I'm saying? Get that. Other than that, you're doing great. Get some rest. We need you to finish this season strong because you are our Dennis Schroeder midseason acquisition that came early, 3 months early. That's who Dennis Jenkins is. 6'4" version of Dennis Schroeder. He's just 24 instead of 32, 31, 32. We have a lot. Anybody we add to this team needs to add to the Detroit Pistons. Nobody that we need to figure out. Look, shooters, I hear you. Shooters we could get, Seth. But I don't want a shooter who doesn't play defense. We got one Duncan Robinson. He gives great effort. I don't want another guy that we got to worry about on defense. And Duncan Robinson does a lot of great off-ball movement. He communicates well. He still is in the right spot on defense and offense. Good IQ, veteran. He's been to the playoffs. Man, those types of shooters are hard to find. That's why we paid for them. We paid in the offseason to go get them. That type of guy, it's like if we could get a healthy Max Strus type of a deal. Right? Like those guys are hard to find. I don't want to get a Buddy Hield where he's a shooter, but he's a liability on defense and he's not a good community. Doesn't have the intangibles and maturity or experience at the high level. No, I'm okay. I'll wait. Jaden Ivey is shooting it well enough. Dennis Jenkins shooting 36, 37% from the three-point line. Javante Green is shooting 35, 36% from the three-point line. I told y'all that's going to continue to go up for this team. Now that we have that continuity and we have that consistency in our rotations, expect our three-point shooting to get better from here. Expect it to go up. Expect us to continue to improve in that area. I am more than content with what this team is doing. More than content. There is no move that we have to make. If we go get a Bobby Portis, great. That is a great addition for us. Kyle Anderson, solid. But I'm not forcing it. I'm not giving up assets. Antoine Johnson in the chat was good, brother. He says, bro, I wish we can possibly get a Keegan Murray for Sacramento. What do you think about? It sounds good. Wish we could get Kevin Durant. Might as well be the same thing because to the Sacramento Kings, outside of Domantas Sabonis, that's their guy. And they just brought in DeAndre Hunter to play alongside of him. Traded Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis, which thank God, free Keon Ellis. I think that trade is going to make Cleveland. Bro, I'm trying to tell you, that's who we got to get ready for. a healthy Cleveland potentially in the playoffs. That's going to be a hell of a matchup. If they're healthy, Schroeder and Ellis off the bench with Garland and Mitchell, it's going to test our perimeter defense. Now, I was trying to explain before, um, not just defending the 3-point line is one of our weaknesses, but we're also the Detroit Pistons are not very good at transition defense. Like for as good as our defense has been, it's because we have elite talent on defense, not good team defense. We don't communicate well. We get beat on backdoor cuts. And teams who shoot a lot of threes and have a lot of off ball constant movement are going to really do well against us. If I'm honest with you, from this point forward, that is my scout offense. For those of y'all who are not familiar with scout offenses, it's when you're working on defense, you have you have your benched unit play a style of the team that you're going to face. So you might put players in position to play certain roles that you know you're going to have to face. So let's say you're going to play Minnesota. So you might say, all right, Jay Ivey, I want you to play as much as possible like Anthony Edwards, take these types of shots, look to be aggressive, shoot a lot of threes so we can get used to covering it, right? So we can get warmed up for it. And that's when you have time between games versus back to back or just one day off, right? Um, if you have one day off, you might have a 30-minute practice, right? Not even that, right? You're just kind of going to walk through some things, do a lot of film because you're trying to conserve these guys' bodies because it's a marathon. But then you also have, you know, you have opportunities when you have, let's say, 2 days off or you have the All-Star break and you can say, hey, you know what? I want our bench unit to play the style that we struggle with the most. High volume 3-point shooting, constant off ball movement, and getting out in transition. Boston, Phoenix does that in spades. Golden State, that's exactly what they do. That style, that system can beat our defense. So I would be scared to face Cleveland, Miami, in the playoffs. Those are teams that I do not think we match up well in the playoffs. In the playoffs. And that's what we have to prepare for. And so I think it's going to be a good game against the Brooklyn Nets tonight at 6. I want to see the Detroit Pistons execute, do better against these styles. Also, boxing out is something that we struggle with mightily, which is why we talked about Bobby Portis coming on, because Bobby Portis, man, he does what we need him to do on the glass. Like on that glass, he does exactly what we need him to do. Plays great defense. Sorry. Rewind that. Does not play great defense. He's a great defensive rebounder. Physical on the boards. He boxes out. And with Isaiah Stewart challenging so much at the rim, we need somebody behind him who can clean up those rebounds. Especially when Ron Holland many times is losing focus that he needs to rebound. Him and Asar have to rebound from that position. They have to. Cade also has to rebound from that position. We've got the shot blocking. We have to rebound from the wings. And then on offense, where we struggle. Consistent facilitation, somebody running the team, not just swinging the ball around, not just throwing it around, but be intentional about getting it to where it needs to be. We have to have someone who can calm us down, right? They always say, the saying goes, cooler heads prevail. Somebody has to be able to cool us down. And really the only person I've seen who does that for us is Dennis Jenkins. Cade doesn't do it. Asar doesn't do it. Duran doesn't do it. Tobias doesn't do it. Duncan doesn't do it. Somebody has to do that for us. I don't care if we miss shots. So I want to make sure we're getting quality shots, not just getting off a shot, not just getting to the rim, not just creating, making sure that the quality of our offensive possessions are high consistently. And if we have a couple of bad possessions, you know what happens? Somebody's supposed to come in and be like, yo, 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 slow it up, slow it up. Let's run this action. One of the things that I was really thinking about is I want to see Duran become more of a fourth quarter, half court offensive threat. I want to see Jalen Duran. I might do a short video on this. I want to see Jalen Duran become more of a half court, fourth quarter, not just the first half, offensive weapon. His ability not just to get to the rim, but also to finish and get to the free throw line is such an advantage for us. It's such an advantage. And if he can just catch that ball at the free throw line, turn and face and be like, even if he's shooting jumpers, I'll take it. You see, we got to have somebody who can look around and be like, okay, we've got what's the dude for the Golden State Warriors that was guarding Tobias Harris? Gui Santos. We got Gui Santos guarding Tobias Harris. Well, Gui Santos is about 6'7", 230 pounds. That matches up extremely well against Tobias Harris. So that's not a mismatch. We've got Cade Cunningham, looks a little tired. Duncan Robinson is getting chased all around. He's not getting his shot off. Hey, Duran, I know Draymond Green is a really good defender, but he's 6'6", and you're 6'10". You got about 20 pounds, 4 inches of height, and a 7'5" wingspan with good footwork. How about I give you the ball, space the freak out, and let you go one-on-one against Draymond? Let's see what you can do. I think that could be a good offensive possession. Even if it doesn't work out, it lets the 22-year-old all-star develop that portion of his game. I keep telling y'all, he's going to grow into Karl Malone. That's what I see from Jalen Duran. He's going to get that little 16 to 18-foot jumper down pat. Remember how Karl Malone in the NBA Finals against the Bulls had that little kind of like faded a little bit with it? Nobody could block it. Took Hall of Fame, all-time great defender Dennis Rodman to be able to get up into him and challenge that shot and try to knock it down. But then Karl Malone could still get into the pick and roll game with John Stockton, just like he could do with Cade. Duran could do with Cade. Had the little turnaround. When Duran gets that, if he can get that over the next couple of years, but he needs to start taking it. So we need to start giving Duran possessions in the fourth quarter when it matters. Say, Duran, go for it. Go for it. You're one of our highest field goal percentage shooting players on this team. You're a leader. You're an all-star. You're an amazing talent. We believe in you. Get us a bucket in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go. It's not just Cade. And Ivy's not there yet. It's you. Unless Tobias Harris has a big, like, Al Horford on him, who's going to have foot speed on, or a small, like, Brandon Podziemski, and he could just post him up and shoot over the top, Tobias Harris is not the option to go to. And this is where guys have to have recognition. And this comes with consistency. This comes with players beginning to play with one another more and more. Dwayne Pritchett, yo, one of my members, is good to see you in the chat, brother. We need to continuously watch film of the Houston Rockets, the Phoenix Suns, teams that play physical and gets into us. We need to practice against K double teams, what to do next, and get the ball back. That's true, but mid-season it's hard to get those practices in. You know what I mean? But yes, I agree. I agree. Look, let me just say this. Oh yeah, Richard in the chat. What's good, man? He says Cleveland already tracking to be in the top 4. Might be a second-round matchup. Bro, Cleveland would be a scary second-round matchup. And don't let us have to go through Miami and then Cleveland. That would be a hell of a test for us. But I do think that we're going to get better as a team. I would just like us to see us get Bobby Portis so we can shore up our defensive rebounding and have some more shooting from the front court position and some more screen setting. I think that'll help as well. Pick and pop action, etc. High low. It'll add some wrinkles. Um, but we have to prepare for the playoffs. And so the things that I mentioned earlier, if you didn't catch it earlier, please, go back and rewatch the live. There's a lot of things that I mentioned that we got to work on, shore up defensively, perimeter defense, talking, getting back in transition, etc., boxing out for rebounding, etc., guys cutting off the ball. And then offensively, we got to get better quality shots. You have to be intentional about who we're getting to the ball, who we're getting the ball to, when throughout the game, so we can make sure that guys stay balanced in who is attacking what, so we can have that flow and consistency, not just K trying to go one on one or guys going one on one, one pass, one shot, or no passes at all for a shot. That's not quality offense. That's not what we're trying to see regularly. And so there's some things we got to shore up. But I think we stay pat with our guard rotation, whether it's Sasser, Jenkins, Ivy, Cade, Duncan Robinson. Karis LeVert is on the outside looking in. I don't think he's a part of this rotation anymore. I don't even think he's hurt. I just think it's clear that Dennis Jenkins has usurped him. Probably so has Javante Green. And so they're probably looking to move him because he's going to want to play and he's a veteran. So you're going to do right by him. But at the end of the day, the Detroit Pistons are in a good position. I want to see what they do this evening against the Brooklyn Nets. Uh, I just want to see execution. Remember, it's not about if we win, it's about how we win at this point because we're preparing for the playoffs. We're at 35 wins already, right? We need about 10 more to sit right where just about where we need to be. 15 more to be doing extremely well. And I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there nicely. But how we get there, how we get to the 50 to 55 wins, how? It's going to be the difference between potentially losing in the first round or getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, NBA Finals. As always, if you haven't already, smash that like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Remember, it's a small thing for you to hit the like button, a big thing for the channel. And consider becoming a member in 2026. Hit that join button at the bottom. Just hit that and consider becoming a member. We got different levels of membership, but I appreciate everybody who comes to join me on this channel. Before I jump off, as always, I love to make sure that I leave y'all with something. One of the things that I've checked into is how important it is to have a conversation around expectations and relationships. Um, and what helped me to understand how to frame it is thinking about a team, a basketball team. You don't have people doing anything all the time. You have people who are doing agreed upon roles so that there's clear expectations so you can work well together. And sometimes we assume roles. And something it kind of even inspired me to even like hit up some of my closest friends that I've known literally for a lifetime. I'm really blessed. I always say this, I'm very rich in my life, not because I'm rich. Show ain't rich. So please feel free to become a member, help a brother out. But I'm rich because of the people in my life. I've got some people in my life who love me to death, like love me truly. Been with me since day one, whether it's a sibling, um, whether it's really good friends, grew up with since the crib, uh, literally parents changing our diapers, um, and really just letting them know, like, yo, like, I want you to know this is the type of friend, it's the type of brother that I want to be for you in our life because you're worth it to me. Like I believe in general principle, GP. There's certain things you should be able to expect. There's certain people in your life you should be able to ride or die for. Your kids for sure, your family for sure. Not everybody in your family, but you know what I'm talking about. There's certain people in your family you should be able to ride and die for. If they call you, say I need you, you're on a flight. They say, yo, I'm struggling. I need $1,000. I got you. Off principle. And you should be able to let them know that. Because It does something to the relationship. It reminds you that you also got people that you could do that with. And it also helps tie you together to know how this team is going to function, how this network, how this connection, how this community, how this family, how this relationship is going to function. There's certain expectations. And so make sure that you communicate and with your significant other. You got a girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever you dating, whoever's in your life, even your children. It's important that you communicate expectations. Give them a chance to accept it or reject and say yes or no, and then show up because that's how a team grows strong. That's how a team builds together. That's how a team becomes great. But teams where there's ambiguity, you don't know what the hell people are doing. The New Orleans Pelicans, what Zion we're going to get from week to week, who's doing what, Sacramento Kings, we don't know who the, what are we talking about? The teams that suck and are losing, it's for the same reasons. They're still figuring themselves out. Who the hell are we? What are we doing out here? How are we going to be successful? To elevate your family, your relationships, your community, your peoples, your relationships, it's important that you communicate, initiate, take the leadership and initiate communication of expectations. And start with what your family and loved ones can expect from you and be explicit, be detailed. If you haven't had a chance to journal and write it out, do that. Write that shit out. And then come back to them and be like, yo, if you ever need me, bro, like for real, you ever need me, bro, you hit me. You're on my short list. I got a short list about this long, about 5 names at any time. If you call me, y'all know who y'all are. If you call me, and if you don't know, I'm gonna let y'all know today. If you call me and you hit me, I'm on a flight. If you need me, I'm cash apping you. I'm on a phone call, 2 o'clock, 3 a.m. It don't matter, bro. I could be on my honeymoon. If you call me, if you send out the 911 APB, I'm probably leaving the honeymoon. You're on my list. Not everybody, but we should all have that list. So as always, yo, it's your man 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Y'all enjoy your day. Truly, I hope you do. Smash the like button, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. Consider becoming a member in 2026. Hit that join button at the bottom. And definitely live your life to the fullest. Love the people around you deeply and laugh hard as hell. I'm going to hit y'all up next time. Let's go Pistons. Peace.